Howdy.
Welcome back, foolish mortals, to this
Boo.
week's. Oh, wow. we have somebody. We have a ghoul popping in already. Welcome back to the Witch's Craft. This week, we're doing something kind of spooky. It's, let's face it, it's our favorite time of the year. We are in the spooky season. That's when all of the good stuff comes out, all the decorations, all the stories, all of the good stuff. And we're not going to mention a particular flavor that comes around every year, but it's a guilty pleasure. If you know, you know. And, we are joined once again by Gwen, our awesome leader or organizer. Gwen,
I'll just stop at
what?
awesome. It sounds good.
Yes. And we also have somewhere in that murky darkness, we have our garage goblin.
I think I found her. Oh, wait. She's gone.
Hmm.
That's spooky.
Yeah, she tends to do that. Um, so so this is what we're getting into this week. We're going to talk about some some of the more paranormal, ethereal stuff. It's something that kind of gets tossed around. And I mean, if you're watching Hollywood movies, there's always some kind of paranormal happening, always some kind of haunting, and yet somehow we're the ones that always get blamed for that. So we're going to talk about
Oh,
we're
sorry.
going to talk about a little bit about the reality of that, um, and how sometimes sometimes on our path we do come across the more unexplained experiences, right? That we're not directly responsible for, at least we don't think. Um, and we're also going to talk about how to actually communicate with that spirit realm and what you can do for protection. And of course, we can't do this without actually giving some really good meaty ghost stories. So before we get into all of that, we're going to start with a little bit of that divination. And I think, Gwen, you've got a couple of things for us, right? You've got some tarot, some items for divination.
I,
Um,
I
once again,
do.
and as always, guys, we always mention it. If you guys don't know yet about Gwen's shop, Avalon Visions, you can do the online shopping, or better yet, if you can make it down there, please go over and check out the shop. You've got some
Especially
amazing
this
stuff.
Sunday because we're having our outside psychic and healing arts fair and we're going to have some crafts
There
and
you go.
things
There
that
you
are
go.
not always in the store. Yay.
Great. So, you want to tell us about what you've got and how we use that to kind of
Well,
set the mood for the
I thought
divination
we could
and
start with some tarot decks. So yeah, I can tell you a little bit about it. So real briefly, a tarot deck is a divination tool that most people associate with psychics and readers and so on. It's actually you don't have to be psychic to use a tarot deck. You just have to kind of allow your intuition to be your guide. So most of them are, there are a few different systems out there, but most of them are based on the Rider-Waite deck, which I'm not going to show you today because that's like the standard one that you see in most of the movies show you that deck. But because it's a spooky season, and because on my website right now we're running a sale, I have picked out a couple of decks. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Edgar Allan Poe deck. And
yes,
if
yes.
you guys don't know who Edgar Allan Poe is, just think of I can hear its beating, the beating of his telltale heart. Or there's all kinds of things out there. And Edgar Allan Poe was a very good Gothic writer, and so the images on the Edgar Allan Poe tarot deck, though loosely based on the Rider-Waite deck, They're really beautiful, and this is a deck that if you were kind of doing like a spooky seance-y kind of thing, you could bring it in with you. It's, you could lay it out on a table and have sort of this sort of gothically themed deck. And personally, I really like it, and I'm gonna try to copy this link, and I'm gonna try to paste it over into the comment section so that you can actually see what it is if you follow it online. Oh, I think I might have pasted it a bunch of I think our garage goblin is helping me out there. I see some
It's
help
it's
from
it really is a beautiful, beautiful deck. I do own it. Um, and
I
it
didn't know
does.
that you had that deck. That's
I actually
hysterical.
do. I actually do. Yes.
That's awesome.
Um, what's that?
That's awesome. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about how you like the deck.
Um, it's it's pretty easy to follow. Um, well, it's particularly easy for me because I am one of the biggest Edgar Allan Poe fans. So the artwork is while it follows the Rider Waite's standard, most of it, actually all of it, is also based on Edgar Allan Poe's stories. So
Yes,
you
it
have
is. Yes,
you
it
have
is.
images of from the Fall of the House of Usher. You have images of the Black Cat,
I love
the
that one.
Raven. Um,
The Raven too. Great,
what
great,
else?
great
Um,
works.
there's even there's even I think one of the cards. I don't remember which one, but I think it's also based on the Gold Bug. And then I know there's one that's based on the Cask of Amontillado. So it really it really kind of helps if you are like a big fan and like a big reader of Edgar Allan Poe and you followed the stories. Um, it makes it easy when you're doing a read, when you're pulling a read, and you um, kind of know the imagery, you know the background of the background of the story. So um, when it comes through as a reading, uh, it kind of makes it flow a little bit easier. So it is one of my absolute favorites.
I
It's,
did
it's
not
really
know
good.
that when I chose to put that up today,
Mhm.
but that's see, and that's how intuition works, where you go like, this is the right deck to talk about, right? You know,
Oh yeah.
I love Edgar Allan Poe, and I've of course read a little, seen a little, and
Mhm.
some of those gothic images really, if you're thinking about ghosts and old Victorian houses or old castles and so on, you start,
Mhm.
you kind of those images are what comes to mind. So if you were,
Right.
doing a kind of a Halloween themed thing, and I say Halloween because most people think of it not Samhain, which of course is what it really is. But when you
Mhm.
think about it, all these images come to mind of all these very classic novels, and all tarot works similarly. It's all your intuition, but like if you kind of want to get that little edge in there, this is a good deck for you.
Mhm.
And we also want to talk about, oopsie, let me get rid of the Edgar Allan Poe one, the Ghost Tarot. Have you worked with this one?
Oh, I
This
actually I have another one that looks
it could
somewhat
be.
similar. That one is Ghosts. I believe it's the Ghost and Spirits deck.
Yeah.
It's a bit different, but okay. I've not seen this one in particular, so I'm curious. I'm curious about it.
Well, the Ghost Tarot, it's to me, I haven't worked with it a lot. We've had it in the store. Again, it's a lot like, the Edgar Allan Poe deck in that it's gothic.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like that the other one might be a nudge more fun, but it has ethereal images. And
Mhm.
I was going to pull some cards from it, but I thought we had a copy, and I do not have a copy in store. But if you go up to my website and you take a look at what's there, it's sort of there's a little bit of. Have you ever been to the haunted house in Disneyland, the big one?
The Haunted
It
Mansion. Yeah.
reminds me of the Haunted Mansion. Reminds me a little of that. Now, it's not that cheesy because a lot of it is, about communicating with spirits, and so it's
Mhm.
very mediumistic. And I do feel that
Yeah.
when you put your intent into a deck that is sort of themed a certain way, it opens up your intuition to pull that kind of energy through a little bit. So if you were doing and you mediumship work and you wanted to sort of add in, instead of just, like, as I said, you don't have to be psychic to use a tarot deck. It's a tool to help you
Mhm.
connect with your intuition. So if you use a deck that is themed towards that sort of energy, then what you'll find is that you'll pull in a little more of that. So let's just say you were in a haunted house, and you were playing with tarot, which, make yourself be clear, and, have your sage around and all the tools that you would need for a little protection. Um, what you could do is you could theme it in, and, kind of use it to kind of touch base with the energies that are there. So not like a Ouija board, where we're going, spirits, and, who knows?
Mhm.
It's like, that's like putting out a call for a rave. Yes, I have several spirit boards, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's not necessarily the best idea, because it's like putting a banner like rave at Avalon Visions tonight. All spirits are, no, not necessarily. We wouldn't necessarily want to do that, but
Mhm.
it's a little more of a tool where you're in control, because you're the one shuffling the cards, and you're allowing what your intuition is to speak through the cards. And through that somewhat um, controlled mechanism, you will have to be able to use the cards. Does that make sense to you? Or was I
Mhm.
kind of dip it out there? Help. That's
No,
kind
no,
of
it's actually a good idea. It's actually a good idea. Um, it's kind of a different approach that I hadn't considered. So, yeah, thank you for that. Um,
yeah.
so, and I mean, so the tarot. I mean, as we know, as some of us know, that that's not the only method. We've also got some other items. Let's see, the tools of the trade, if you will. We've got what else? What else have you got as far as goodies for divination in there?
Well, I have always, of course, and I'm going to put the link in here to our search page. I always have pendulums, and
Hmm.
I just put that up there. And pendulums could be used to clear a space too. What did I do with my? You know what? I have a pendulum right here. In fact, I think I will actually didn't even consider it, getting it out earlier, but I did now. I have considered it, and here we go. So a pendulum is, and I do carry these on my website. I'm pretty sure I have this almost exact, well, not this one, but something like it. Um, so this one is very protective. I don't know if you can see, it's got a pentacle.
Oh wow,
You
that
can
is neat.
screw both ends off. So, like, if you were so inclined, you could flip it upside down, but I don't. I like having it more positive, and I like that I'm not using it to drain off the negative energy, so that is right side up. So, I would hold it close to me, and, get my solid. I should probably sit back further. So I'd say, my name is Susan. Oh, look, that's my no. I'm not Susan. My name is Gwen, and it goes straight back and forth. So my yes is almost always like this, and my no is almost always like that. And so, um, I would get a yes or no, and I would use this to, say, are there any spirits in this room? Now, I'm going to get a yes. You wait and see, because I do know. Are there any spirits in this room with me? Yes. Are you happy that I'm here? Yes. Okay. Do you want me to go? No. Would you like to see more people shopping here? Yes. Why, thank you. I appreciate that. Actually, I I didn't do that on purpose. I have asked this question before. So if I wanted to clear, like, I don't try to clear the spirits that are here out of here, because the ones that are here sort of belong here. So I've already done the get rid of the negative people and things and whatever. And this space is pretty, it feels good. I'm sitting here in the dark. It feels better than my house does in the dark most of the time. So, and my house feels pretty good. So if I wanted to clear the energy, I would kind of hold it straight. I'm going to get back a little bit again. And I would say clear the energy. And when it clears the energy, it will go in a kind of a clockwise circle. And it's going to stop pretty quick, because the energy in here is really, it's good. Could it be better? Sure. It can always be improved. So it always is like a spin. And you can use a pendulum to not only ask questions to do divination with, but you can also use it to clear energy. And I'm hoping, I got there's a lady that I've worked with a lot who teaches locally. Her name's Joan Rose Staffen, and she does give classes locally. And she's written a couple books on pendulums, and she's very good. She was a teacher. Teachers make the best workshop people. So I'm hoping that sometime this fall she comes in and does one of her pendulum workshops, because it's worth every penny if she does. So keep an eye out for that. I have to call her again, because she's quite busy, and she lives locally. But she's the one that taught me about clearing the energy. I only knew, yes, no questions. And so for divination, it's a really good tool. And I have no idea where its little house is, so I'll just put it down. I know, here. I always keep them in a little pouch, and we do give out little pouches with them sometimes. So I have a little purple pouch for mine, which is what it needs to have. And then what else?
You also have some rune sets, some crystal balls, and scrying bowls and mirrors, right?
I do. So the link to the rune sets is over here. Now, I don't have runes samples. I don't actually have the samples with me at the moment, but runes it's a lot like, it's a lot like tarot, but it's usually on carved stones or on little carved tablets, and it's an old language. And so you can kind of reach in a bag and pull out 3 stones and do past, present, future, like an oracle deck, which I also have on my website. But you can, you learn what the language is and what it represents. And runes can be easy and fun to learn the basics too, and extremely difficult to really master the language. And there are some really good rune books up on my website. If you're interested in learning, I have some very good books, and they're screened. I usually try to carry a couple in the store, but if I don't have them in the store, I definitely order them for you. So that's another thing. I like runes. I know a little bit about them. I don't know. I know less than what I want to know about them. I actually want to learn more about runes, and that's on my bucket list. So to really get more efficient at runes.
So I'm curious about the crystal balls, which, I mean, I've been to the shop several times. I always love it. I don't remember seeing any of those. I'm kind of surprised that you actually have some of those. It's like, oh,
well,
wow,
actually,
okay.
crystal balls can be anything from a little sphere, which you have seen, or it can be a clear quartz or glass ball. And I have carried them, and I do sometimes carry them. I don't always carry them. I usually carry them on my website, because they're not a super fast seller because we always associate and so see like if it doesn't sell that great, it's online, you know. But
Mhm.
the real quartz crystal balls that are like we think they're about, you know, this big.
Mhm.
When I was in like high school, they were a couple $100. And now
Mhm.
they're, you know, the bigger the ball, the pricier the ball. And to get a really clear one that is actually quartz, it can be extremely expensive. So
Mhm.
usually you see little ones or you see glass balls that are, you know, colored or clear, but they're made of glass, which is a crystalline structure. You know, it's a structure that is crystalline. Now I have at my house, uh, I think it's probably glass, and I also have a pretty clear, pretty sure it's, I think if I remember correctly, smoky quartz,
Mhm.
and I have scribed with that, and I'm pretty good at it. I don't do it professionally, but I found it very interesting because what you do is if you're going to do the scrying with it, and and I'm not, I wouldn't I wouldn't call myself a professional when it comes to that, but I know what I did, and it worked pretty good. Um, you 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 want to get yourself in a dimly lit room. So about like the lighting is behind me is good. Preferably a candle somewhere nearby because it kind of helps with the shadow play. I like doing it with candles. I don't know if you've ever done this, but it's pretty fun. And so you're in a dimly lit, quiet space, and you want to be like a little bit in the meditating frame of mind, and then
Mhm.
you let yourself relax, and it's like looking at an aura, you know, you're like it's like when you first learn how to read aura, you just kind of, you know, relax, and you let your mind sort of open and get a little bit like sort of hypnotized a little bit on, you know, it's kind of like you're just in a very relaxed state, and you
Mhm.
see what you see in the shadows. And because all quartz, especially, it's really good with quartz, it has little sort of imperfections in it. So you should be able to just kind of let the imperfections kind of play in your mind. Like if you're seeing, you know, trees or you're getting image, and you might get an image in your mind. You're not going to see it like you're not going to suddenly see an image appear that, you know, is like a television screen, you know. If you do, great, you know, I'm all for you doing that. But you're you're just going to see kind of like in your mind is going to you're going to start it's going to play, you're going to get an impression of something. Um
Mhm.
First time I did it, I scared myself a little because I had an impression, a very distinct image impression of a volcano erupting. And this was before it was really, really easy to go online and look stuff up. It was when, you know, it took a long time to carefully connect to the internet. Anyway, um,
Yep.
it was still a dial up, like
Mhm.
where, you know, made the little dial tone noise before you dialed out. So I had to go and look, and I found that while I was doing that, there had been a volcano somewhere in Africa that looked that really like where the tree line was and everything. It was so I definitely saw something, and it was definitely really cool. And I scared myself a little bit, and I didn't look for a while because I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't. You know, what's going to happen next? What are we going to see next? An earthquake? Which I've already had that experience. So I just kind of said, okay, and I kind of put it away for a bit. But but that's how you do it. And you know, I have yes, of course I've done it since, but I impressed myself that time. I was very proud of myself. You know, "Woo, I'm a Leo. I should be proud." Speaking of which, happy birthday, Joe. It's
Oh, thank you. It's
you've been
Christmas,
outed.
but
And
yes,
see, I'm a
thank you.
cowardly lion too. Like I have my little anyway.
Okay.
So but yeah, so there's that.
Mhm.
That's the and then you were mentioning that the scrying balls, and I'm getting the I'll put that up there too. I have done less of the scrying bowls and mirrors than I have of the crystal ball, but it's the same principle. You've used a scrying bowl, I think. Have you done the scrying mirror?
I actually have a small
Mm-hmm.
mirror. that's used for scrying.
And usually they're
Um,
black. Usually they're not a uh they're more dark. The mirror's darker.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I have is like kind of a it's got like splashes of like royal blue. So it's on
Oh,
the darker side. It's like
that
splashes of
makes
royal
sense.
blue and a little bit of uh it's all blue, just like some of it is like a little bit darker. So
Okay.
but yeah, that's what I have. The scrying bowls. I'm trying to picture that. That's something I've not heard in a long, long time. I think I actually did try that once in my very, very early witch years. So, um, give us a little bit of an explanation on that and
Well,
see if it's actually what I'm
it's
remembering.
it's probably what you remember. A lot of times the scrying bowls are very they can be like an onyx bowl, dark,
Mhm.
and a lot of people I think put water in them to scry, because then they
Yes.
get images
Uh
that
huh.
way. Now,
Right.
I
Right. Right.
I don't think you have to, depending
Okay.
on what the material is, because the idea, and it's the same sort of as a concave, mirror, is again, you're going to let your mind clear, and then the
Mhm.
images will kind of form for you. Which is why if you have a like a little candlelight flickering in the background, it's quite good. But that's essentially the same. It's the same method, and there are books upon books upon books of how to do it. Find a method that works for you, and it works. And you can do it in a haunted house too. So it's one of those things where you can. That's another thing. Um, and did I put the bowl up there? I think I did. I'll have to put it up there now. Hang on. In case if you see it posted more than once, it's because that's me not paying attention to what I have just done. So,
So
but yeah,
speaking so speaking of the haunted houses and things like that, I think it's story time. What do you think?
I think it is.
All right.
I think so.
All right. So, um, I mean, just to kind of give you a little bit of background with me. I mean, the way that I found my path toward uh, paganism, witchcraft, and everything that comes with it is, in fact, through supernatural experiences and a lot of stories. Uh, and this is something that I've kind of picked up from, I want to say, from both sides of the family, and
Okay.
it's just a deep connection. So it's funny. It's funny. I have difficulty connecting to ancestors, but if there's a ghost in the next room, they're knocking on the door. So it's like, all right, okay, let's do this.
Well,
Um,
yeah, your
yeah.
ancestors might respect your privacy a bit. Sometimes ghosts have a little less respect.
So I mean, there there were a lot of stories that my mom actually shared from when she was growing up, and she grew up pretty much on the other side of town of where I am right now. Um, there were things that she saw. There were apparitions that she saw just like walking right by her.
Well, and when you're a
There-
kid, you're more open to it.
well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Because
there was
when you're an
one.
adult, you're like, I did not see that. I do not want to see that. Blinders. I will see only what's in front of me. And kids are like,
Yeah.
what? So yeah.
All right. So um, there's one example. Uh, he'll talk about it, and I'm referring to my dad, who actually did have some experience himself. He doesn't usually talk about it, and that is that when he was younger, he wasn't exactly a kid. When he was younger, living in Mexico, where they had their home, it was on a farm, but the farm was up on a mountain. So, in order to get to the nearest town, he had to walk down the mountain um, hike downward, and then at the base of the mountain there is a very large lagoon. So he had to walk around that lagoon, and on the other side there was the path that was clear straight over to the village, right? Um, and I remember this because I actually walked it myself when I was about 9 years old. So when he's young, he's walking down this path. And I mean, if you know farm work, it's gonna be before the butt crack of dawn. So this is before the sun comes up.
Yeah.
He's already, he's already ready to go. He's making his way down the mountain. And he goes around the lagoon. Well, when he comes to the lagoon, this particular morning, he came across somebody that he didn't quite expect, and
You know
this
I'm sitting in my
was
office alone, right, Joe? Just kidding.
what's that?
You know I'm sitting in my office alone, right, Joe?
Oh well,
Anyway,
uh,
keep going. Sorry.
I mean, it's trust me, it's the stories get meatier as they go. So just wait, just you wait. So okay, so what happens to my dad is he's walking down this mountain. He gets down to where the lagoon is, so he's walking along the edge of the water. He comes across uh, this woman who is crouched down by the water. She has clothes laid out on the rocks, and I'm not sure if there was like a tree that she was like hanging it up on. But the thing is, she was washing the clothes,
Okay.
and him, noticing there's nobody around, he's got to pass near her, and so he says good morning, and she doesn't say anything at all. She just keeps on doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
And he thought this was odd. He thought she was kind of being rude, but like he just kept on walking. He walked past. I think he called out to her a second time, and she still didn't say anything.
Okay.
And so like he takes a few more steps. He takes a few more steps, and then just for some reason, he felt the need to actually turn around. When he turned around, there was nobody there.
Okay.
The person was gone. The clothes were gone. Um, and half a second later, he was gone. He did not stick
Yeah.
around. So
Yeah, because
he
that's
took
too
off.
fast for somebody to pick up clothes that you were watching and just disappear.
Right. And I mean,
And
like I
why
said,
would you run off when a kid was there?
yeah.
Yeah, kids are
I mean,
pretty
so
unassuming. They're not big scary guys.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he again, keep in mind, he's walking before the sun actually comes up. So there's
Oh yeah.
some
So
light, but
it's not.
this is
Yeah.
yeah. So so he's had some experiences as well. So and the reason I brought this one up is because in some of the studies that I've done, uh, I've come to learn that this particular image of a woman that's washing the clothes by a body of water. Um, Mexico is not the only place that actually happens.
I know.
I've heard,
I know what you're
and
gonna
I've read
say.
about stories uh, in different parts of the world where
Mhm.
they see the same image.
Mhm.
Sometimes the clothes is bloody, and she's doing her best to just kind of just wash it, trying to rinse all of that blood off. So that's her purpose. Uh, by this body of water, whether it's a pond, whether it's a lagoon, or even a river. Um,
Okay.
and generally, what this has been linked to has been a symbol of or a sign of an oncoming death,
Okay.
whether it's the person who's actually witnessing this or somebody that they know.
Kind of like a banshee in Ireland, but that's a
Right. Yeah.
howling,
Right.
from what I hear.
So,
Howling like a banshee.
right.
This is different. She's
And
washing
well,
their she's
actually,
washing their soul is what she's doing. They're
yeah,
getting ready to cross over.
pretty much.
Mhm.
And you mentioned the banshees, and hopefully down the line as we get closer to Samhain, I would really really love to give that presentation on La Llorona.
Yeah.
That's the weeping woman who there's a whole story. I'm not going to get into it right now because I
It
really
seems like
want
there would
to.
be a connection between the washing woman and also the La Llorona. I didn't say that correctly.
Uh,
So
it's all right.
it didn't come out right, but it seemed like there's a connection between the two iconic images.
Right. And I'll definitely get into that when we actually do that talk. Um, so yeah, that was one particular instance where I didn't experience it, but members of my family did experience it. So there is something in there that kind of runs in our family where we do have a connection to the spiritual. Some of us can see
Well,
it, some of us
yeah,
can
it
hear
does
it.
tend to
So
run in families. Like, I
right,
didn't know that my dad had a whole collection of tarot decks. I had no idea. I thought they were weird decks, but apparently he and his sister both played with them and they were probably really good at it. So when you have a talent, it does tend to come down, and sooner or later you find out, oh, huh,
oh yeah.
they did that too, They didn't tell me that until I was older, but okay. Yeah.
So oh, by the way, before we continue, if you guys notice, I couldn't help it. This is my connection to an icon, to the spirit world. Uh, I absolutely love the idea of the Headless Horseman and the story of Sleepy Hollow. And I have actually been
Have
to the
I
camp.
got a
To yes,
story for you?
yes. Um,
I,
yeah, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and share that because it's
okay.
very similar, very
It,
similar
it
icon.
kind of is, but it's sort of in reverse. And there's a,
Mhm.
it's a sort of in reverse thing. So for years, I grew up in Los Gatos, right at the edge of Los Gatos and Montesrino, like right there on the border. People might have known where CB Hannigan's was. It was like there's a park there called Bachman Park. And we used to joke around saying, old man Bachman, who's the park was named after and owned all the land around there, like is a ghost in there. Okay, so I had one of my friend's brothers came running down to the house one day because I was at a cul-de-sac. They were at the top, and I think he just practically bowled over my sister, who was probably 20 at the time, and he was saying, "I saw the headless horseman. I saw the headless horseman," and it was like, okay, and we thought, Nikki, being such a
Mhm.
bullshitter, right? And we teased him about it for a really long time, and and 10 years goes by, right?
Mhm.
I had a cousin who was visiting from Wales, who arguably probably needed to go home anyway because it wasn't really working out having him there. But he was visiting from Wales, and he was maybe a year younger than me, so he's 26, 27. And his name was Simon. So Simon comes over, and Simon and I, it was a Halloween party like at my house, and I can't remember why, but I think I might have been pissed off at my sibling, who was easy to get a bit pissed off at. And so I'm like, hey, let's go take a walk. Because he was in town. I hadn't seen him in a long time. He lived he was in Wales, and we got along pretty good. So we took a walk and we went up the it was like you go to street like Bachman, and then there was a cul-de-sac and a cul-de-sac. And so the park was, the park, there was a cul-de-sac, and then my cul-de-sac, and then Bachman Avenue ended in a cul-de-sac. And so the park was about a block and a half away.
Mhm.
And so we go walking down to the park and kind of walked. It was dark. It was probably 9, 10 o'clock ish at night. And there was like a tennis court, volleyball court or something, a volleyball court, kind of in the middle where people would play volleyball, and there was like a jungle gym area, and there was like this path, and it was a big lawn. They put a lawn in. So it was probably a city block, kind of, like anyway, so we went down the path and we were walking past the volleyball court, and it was kind of went down a hill and up a hill, and the the volleyball court was kind of here, and we were kind of over there towards like Nicholson Avenue. There was a lot of Victorian houses over there too. It's a pretty cool neighborhood to grow up in. And so we're standing and we're looking across the volleyball court, across the lawn. And it wasn't like 10 feet away. It was, like like if you were standing on a street looking across the street and then across it, it was like a parking lot area like you'd see in like say Home Depot, just to give you a rough idea. And so we're looking across. It wasn't that far away, right? And we see this guy, and he's going really, really, really fast. And there was somebody on the other side of the tennis court, and we were close enough that we could smell the pot, because you can smell pot from a long time away. If you think you can't, you're smoking it. Anyway, you can smell it. It curls its way over to you, right? And we could kind of waft it. We kind of like looked over to see where the pot smell was, and we see this man going very, very, very quickly. And the person who's smoking the pot, we're just close enough to kind of see his expression, because he was sort of in where the street lamp was, because he was really by the street that kind of bordered the park on two sides. Like Bachman was here, and then Belmont, kind of crossed it. And so he was across, and he looks like this, and he's smoking pot, and you could see him taking this big toke on the joint that he had, and we could smell it. And this guy comes barreling across where the volleyball court is, and he gets into the light, and he had no legs. It was just the torso. And then we both went like this. And I was with somebody. I wasn't seeing this on my own. We both went like this. And he just freaking poof, disappeared. And the guy that was smoking the pot, and this was on Halloween. This was this was Samhain, October 31st, probably 1990-ish. And he goes like this. And that's my bottomless horseman that I had to tell you about, which I think may have been the local ghost that poor my poor friend Mickey did not get credit for seeing. I later apologized to him, like, decades later, like, hey, we saw that ghost too, Anyway.
I mean, when you're enjoying
it, to do about it, it was poof and gone, right?
Yeah. Well, when you're enjoying a token, you see that, you kind of question what it is that's you're smoking. Yeah, I believe that the guy must have been like, yeah, no, I'm done. Yeah,
he absolutely put it out. I don't know who he was. He was probably somebody I'd gone to school with, because it was kind of a neighborhood thing. He was probably close to our age, but that poor kid put it out. I'd love to figure out who he was. And go, do you remember that ghost you saw? Well, we saw him too. It wasn't the weed.
It might be actually a sigh of relief when he hears that, like, okay, it wasn't the weed. All right, somebody else saw it. It's great.
He might have become sober after that.
He
never smoked again, like he just cleaned up his act, and he could have become a psychiatrist. I'm just saying. Don't drink the stuff. Don't drink the tea, and don't smoke the weed.
Yep.
Who knows?
All right. So I have one particular case that I've kind of worked on and off, and like I said, the paranormal was kind of my step into my craft, going through. I mean, I kind of left Catholicism behind and started questioning more about like the actual spiritual. That led to learning about Reiki, and then eventually kind of tracking and feeling for spirits, and being an empath, really. So after that, I kind of stepped more and more into the craft. So excuse me. But this one particular case, it's a local legend that's pretty well known, and you can find some stories of it online. I won't give the name because that's is there's some reasons for that, but it is a local school here that started out as a was started in one particular location on one of the local mountains here, and then uh, not too long after it was constructed, I believe the building burned or demolished, and it was moved. Um, but things started happening when that construction came about. For example, um, the school was originally known as the Lady on the Hill or the Lady on the Mountain, something like that.
Okay.
Um, and of course, mainly it was because it's on the mountain. It actually sits at the foot. But there is one particular photograph that was taken when the building was being constructed. In that photograph, you can clearly see that there is a woman that is standing with her back turned toward the photographer, and she's observing as the building is being created. Well, the story goes that the photographer never saw anybody there. He did not take any picture of anybody. His job was just to photograph the construction of the school. So
Makes
things
sense.
started off pretty eerily there. Um, Fast forward to I think 1922. 1922, the school is completely built. It's got a student body. Um, right, it actually might have been a couple of years later. I'm a little foggy on the actual dates, but you have the local legend that actually comes about and really just kind of brings that um, brings that lore, brings that school to its infamy now. Um, there's a story of a young girl who, for some reason that was never fully explained, there's been theories about it, but it's never fully explained. Um, she decided that life was not worth living, so she unalived herself.
Yeah,
She unalived
suicides don't
herself.
rest well.
Well, what happened was pretty tragic. She decided that she was going to slit her wrists, and that was not working fast enough.
No.
And so what she did, she was on the top floor, and there's, I want to say, four floors, including the basement. She was on the third floor above ground, um, and she decided to fling herself off the top floor. Years later, um, there were reports of people seeing this young girl, people hearing her,
Mhm.
um, and it got to where the school at the time did not want to really acknowledge what had happened. So what they did was, it's very strange, but they decided that on that top floor they were going to completely wall off the classrooms and it's one end. So the building is actually like an L shaped, right? So you
Hmm.
have the main entrance right at the center, and then you have the two wings um,
And so
at
there's
each
no
end.
windows on the upper floor?
What's that?
There's no windows on the upper floor?
Well, that's the thing. If you see the building from the outside, everything is still there. The windows are there, the classrooms are still there, everything is still intact. But from the inside, on the second and third floor, I want to say, you cannot physically get to that.
Oh, so
To
they
the
just
to the
they just locked
to
off
the
the top floors.
They completely walled it off. Um,
So it's
and
not
yeah,
like offices up there, it's just there's just nothing up there, it's just shut.
the classrooms, like I said, are still there. It's just there's no access to them because they just completely built a wall, and they moved the staircase to where that's kind of what you run into. Um,
They had problems is what they had, and they just
Well,
shut it
they
all
did.
off.
Well, they
Better
did.
to
They
not
did.
deal with it.
Well,
Yeah.
they decided to cover it up. They didn't do very good because the reports kept coming in of a mist forming in the hallway. So the early morning or late in the evening, you'd have the mist show up. And there were also reports of a very strange, like gooey substance that was forming on the ceilings.
Ew.
And that just kind of started to like kind of ooze down.
Well, that
And they
could be
never
a
figured
lot
that
of
out.
things, but that's
Oh yeah.
ew.
So
That's ew. Ew for the goo.
oh yes. Um
Did they is the school still physically there?
it is still there. It is physically there. It's still operational. Um, I was actually able to go in, take pictures, and just do kind of a little mini investigation. Um, I was not allowed to stay overnight because by the time I came around, uh, the administration was already kind of tired of all the paranormal people coming out. They're like, yeah, no, you know what? If you kind of want to walk around right now, that's fine, but we're not gonna
You're not going
allow you
upstairs.
to like go any further with it. So
Did
um,
you walk around the upstairs? You can't get to it.
I did, and I came across this one particular lady. She's a cleaning lady. Funny story with that. That she, as I was just kind of walking around taking pictures, she came up to me and like literally just kind of she poked me on the arm, and
Okay.
I was wondering like what was that all about, and she said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I just needed to know that you were actually a physical person."
Oh God.
And I'm like, "Okay." She said,
That's
she
not good. That means there's people up there.
exactly, exactly. And she
Oh,
told me the story.
you.
So,
That's
and she told
that
me, she told me,
surprises me. That actually that surprised me. But yeah, no, that's not good. That means, she cleans up there and she sees shit and she's
oh
like
yeah.
seems up to the, oh, that
So,
implies all kinds of things. All kinds of things.
well,
Wow.
she came, she told me two particular stories. She said that one time when she had been cleaning um, on, I want to say it was the second floor on one of the stairwells.
Mm-hmm.
She came across this young girl that was standing at the bottom of the stairs. And so this young girl was dressed kind of differently. Seemed like her outfit was
Early
a little more old fashioned.
out of the right time era.
Exactly.
In
And
the wrong
so,
time.
right. So she asked the girl, are you a student? And the girl replied, oh, yes, yes, I'm a student. Um, do you know the way out? That was her question. That was the girl's question. Do you know the way out of here? And so the lady told her, well, yes, if you can go either way, just follow one of the hallways or follow the other end, and you're going to come across the stairs or the doors that lead outside. And she said, okay, thank you. So she walked off. Then the lady remembered that at that time, the doors were already locked. And so this is what made it really odd. So she came down and she followed the direction that the girl had gone. So she went around the corner and there was nobody there.
There's nobody there. Yeah.
So that was one that she came across, and she did in fact give that confirmation that the girl was wearing a cheerleader's uniform. It
Oh,
was just older.
yeah.
So the second story that she gave was once again on that third floor, and that particular time she came across a an older lady. She was carrying a briefcase. She remembered she was carrying a briefcase. She came out of one of the classrooms, and she had never seen that person before. So she asked, "Oh, are you a substitute teacher?" And she said, "Oh, no, I'm actually a regular teacher here. Um, I just was working, but do you know how to get out of here?" So that was a similar question. Do you know how to go? How to get out of here? And she said, "Well, yeah, just follow down the stairs, and same thing. You can go either direction, and you'll find your way out." And so that kind of stayed with her. It stayed with her uh, for a couple of days. Like, why, if this was a teacher, a regular teacher, would she need to know the way out? Well, after the few days, she was cleaning at the main entrance of the building where she came across a display case on the wall, and the display case is still there. As in fact, there's a couple of them. One side there's the trophies, and then the other one is like the pictures from the past. Where she came across the picture of that same teacher, and she is holding a tennis racket. So she was apparently teaching tennis at the time, but she had died about 10 years earlier.
So she was like she had died somehow and was at the school. Did she die at the school?
She did not die at
Just
the
came back.
school, but she was connected. She was still so connected to the building that she did in fact come back.
There are places that attract spirits like the Winchester Mystery House where
Mhm.
it really pulls in energy because of the way that it's built, because of the things that happened there, because of the fact that Sarah Winchester does. And by the way, that's a
Mhm.
cool place to go visit. But it's
Oh,
because of all the things that are there. It's set up to pull in and attract energy, and sometimes public spaces do. I mean, you don't have to die in a spot to do it. Now see, you and we might have recognized that it was a spirit,
mhm,
and with the right skill set,
mhm,
um possibly you or me probably could have said, let me walk you out the building.
mhm,
And I have walked people out of rest homes that were still stuck. They were
mhm.
not they were not fully formed. It's a different thing when somebody is fully formed,
Right.
but you
Yes.
can that's a pretty shocking experience when it happens. But
Mhm,
you can say, walk with me out the door.
mhm.
This is how you leave. And how long have you been here? You know, are
Yep.
you aware that it is 2025? How old were you? That's a very interesting outfit. How long have you
Mhm,
been on the team? Okay. Did you know it was 2025? I
mhm.
mean, because you can move people out by just making them aware of time and space at this time, and you can change them being stuck to not being stuck.
Right.
There are ways of doing it, and you have to kind of know what you're doing a little bit.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Um, which actually kind of brings me to uh, another story. Um, I'm told we're kind of running short on the time here, so
We're
um,
always running short on the time.
yes.
We don't
So
have too much farther to go, though.
right.
I mean, there are
Um,
some.
yeah. It's just I'll kind of run through these hopefully fairly quickly. The San Carlos Hotel. Once again, touching on what you're saying about knowing what you're doing. The San Carlos Hotel in downtown Phoenix. I spent quite a few years in Arizona, and I
I
learned
don't
about
have
this
a
one.
picture of that, by the way. I wish I
Oh,
did.
okay, right. Uh, that's all right. We can we can still tell the story.
Yeah.
This one in particular. By then, I had joined this a paranormal team.
Hmm.
Um, we decided to go check out this hotel, which is historically just like kind of rampant um, with activity. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of the opening scenes in the movie Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, um, when the movie opens onto the Phoenix skyline, one of the buildings you can see is actually the San Carlos Hotel. It's actually like right in the shot.
That makes sense.
Um, so yeah. Anyways, this one was again another suicide, and there's actually quite a few stories. One I'm not allowed to tell anymore, but I will tell you this one. This one in particular was a story with another visitor who also leapt to her death. Um, and so and so what happened was that when we went to investigate this place, uh, I was standing in the lobby in front of a display case, and I felt a small tug on my shoulder, on the back of my shirt, and I thought, okay, that's kind of strange. Well, I looked over my shoulder, and I mean, there was nobody there. I was kind of, just standing right, like I said, right in front of a display case, and so um, I felt it again. I felt it a second time, and I still just couldn't quite figure that out. Third time was at the waist level, and I distinctly felt somebody just kind of tugging on my shirt. Well,
Oh yeah, that's a little
um,
unnerving if you're not prepared for
oh
it.
yeah. Well,
Yep.
this this particular occurrence led me to kind of read some of the articles that were placed in the display case at just like at waist level, right? That's where a little bit more of the story of this person was kind of fleshed out. She had written a note. She wanted a particular song played.
Hmm.
So I kept that information. When we were exploring in the hotel, we went all the way up to the penthouse. And we were actually just granted special access to that. The penthouse itself had one large room. There was a hallway. In the hallway, there was a bathroom. And then there was another large room, which is more like the living area. Well, our team divided into two groups. When we started asking the questions, we started trying to get them to interact with us, get the spirits. When I started playing the piece of music that I had found out that this woman had asked for, the door between the two rooms in the hallway literally slammed shut by itself.
That's not good. Well, it is
That
good. I mean, it is what you wanted to have.
right. That's um that was definitely something that I had not experienced before. And like I said, there's another story that I'm really not allowed to tell because that was kind of one of the agreements that I had with one of the spirits that was there. So
Well, you'll have to tell me
um,
it privately, not on air,
yes,
because I'm pretty
and I think
sure that
so. I think
privately it would be okay.
yes.
And then
So I think the
I
so I
won't
think
share
there's
it, but I'll think about it.
great. So the last story I think I'll save for the next time as we get closer to the spooky season. Um, but we do kind of want to talk about protection when it comes to these kind of experiences. I mean, it's one thing to go looking for it, but it's another thing when you actually have that happen
Mm,
to you without expecting it. So, and I believe you also have a stone of the week that
I do.
is connected with this. So,
I do. I mean, and
what do
there's
you have?
and I want to reiterate with stones, many of them are protective and will help,
Right.
but there are certain ones that are pretty useful.
All right. So, what do we have as far as the stone of the week, and how do we use that for protection?
Well, I'm going to show you a picture. This, oopsie, wrong one. Hold on here. I hit the wrong one. This is an athame, and this is selenite. Now,
Yeah.
selenite is a very clear, sort of white athame. Well, this is an athame, but it's very sort of clear white, stone that can act a bit like a blade. Now,
Hmm.
it can also be held. It can also be set around. And but first, I'm going to talk about why an athame is good, because if you need to make a sacred space, one of the things that pagans and witches do is they draw a circle around themselves. Um, you see in the movies people using salt in a circle.
Hmm.
Now, the thing about that is, let's just get a good windstorm and blow all the salt away. If you delineate with intention using an athame, it will kind of do the same thing. And
Hmm.
and Joe, at some point we should probably talk about forming a circle, and I'll let you take the lead on that, although I think tonight we don't have time. You
Right.
can also use a piece of selenite. Now this one has been carved into, and I really need to turn on my cell phone and give you some light on this. Let me just get my 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 flashlighty thing here. Hold on here. Flashlight. So this is not going to work here. Let me see here. Wait a minute. So this is selenite, and I don't know if you can see particularly. Let me try to get it so it's not aimed at that. This one has been carved into like the flower of life, but it's very like lineal. It's
Hmm.
almost like Ulixite, where you could put it. They call that TV rock because you can just like look down. It's kind of like got that kind of where you can see this way, but it's not quite as clear. It's very it's very this one we carry these. This is white selenite, clear selenite, and then it does come in other forms. This is a tangerine orange selenite, but you can see how the lines go on it.
Hmm.
And then it's very fragile. So you can't it's this is a selenite heart that fell apart, but I kept it because I really liked it. It still has the energy. It's like two pieces. I just kind of put it back together. It's not for sale because it's in my office, but I like it. It's good to hold on and rub. Now, the thing about selenite, just to further talk about it a little bit, if I were to take a ballpoint pen even and I would just hold it up to this, it's very fragile, and it will absorb the color, so you will have a little blue spot in the selenite. Um, it's so fragile that you can, I mean, dropping something like this is not going to break right away. But if you drop a point or something, and it's soft. It's not fragile. It's soft. If I take if I take a file like this and I go like this, I can literally, if I don't want to, because I don't want to do this to this because this is actually a piece of merchandise. Um, I could actually shape this pretty easily and and carve it into various different shapes. It's extremely pliable, and then you can smooth it out just through running water. But selenite is a tool that is useful, very useful for clearing energy. So quite literally, I could take this piece of selenite, and even if I don't have an athame, I could, with intention, make a safety space around me. I can leave it sitting in a room, and it's very good for various different things. If I go and I look it up in my handy dandy,
Looks like we kind of lost one there for a bit. So, but we'll see.
hold on,
While
I'm
she thinks
back.
of that,
The
there
ghost
you are.
did
All
it.
right.
The ghost
Welcome
did.
back. Yes.
Actually, nothing is better than user operator error.
Right.
And so user operator error is um, one of those things where it's just it's just a thing. So let me go ahead and let me get back in here with the it's like I just oh well. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it's the book. The book did it. So user operator error is what it is. Anyway, good. I got the light setting back in here. Anyway, so I go to my it's full of packing tape book, and yeah, that was pretty good. I lost myself. I knew I was out like instantaneously. I just hit the wrong button with the back of the book. Hey, but one time I set off an alarm with a law book when I was studying, and I was working at a bar. The cops arrived. It was fun. Anyway, so you can see here that selenite has a lot of uses, and probably going to need to turn on my flashlight again because let's see if I can not take myself off screen here. It's translucent. It's something that with the healing, it's apparently it's really good for the spinal column. And it helps to ward off and detach entities from the aura or prevents things from getting to your mind. So it's pretty good. We talk about linking the light body and helping it to anchor it. And it's also calming and peaceful. And I like it for clearing energy. I really do. A lot of people use it for that. It's right up there with citrine. Um, the orange one helps with healing and brings in angelic energies. And then there's little ones that look like, I want to show you a picture of it. Do you see those little round balls? They look like little snowballs. They're called desert roses, or we used to call it snowballs, desert snowballs. Um, if you if you like things that are very clear and feel very clean, that's a stone that feels very clean. So yeah, I'm particularly fond of selenite. It's one of my favorite stones. That's why when this little heart broke, I'm like, I have a broken heart. I'm going to glue it together, and I kept it because it's like a healed thing now. It's so I keep my broken heart on my sort of altar sort of place in my office, but it's not broken anymore because it glued itself back together again. Well, it had a little help, but but selenite's really a cool stone. I have a very brief selenite story. Um, I had a cat she was just a brat, terrible brat, and she would pick on the cat that I had he was so much bigger, so much bigger. He was almost 20 pounds and she was about 9 pounds. And I had this selenite log, a raw piece like this, but it was like, it was probably about a foot and a half. I still have it. It was about a foot and a half long. It was about that wide. I mean, big chunk. It probably weighed 30 pounds, maybe. It's big, weighed more than the cat. And I used to have it sort of to the front. I had like a window seat. I had it towards the front. And my cat managed to chase poor Max up into the window seat. And somehow, when she got a hold of the selenite lock, it rolled and she caught her claw. She got out of the way before it landed on her because it's like a do no harm kind of stone. But she caught her claw on the plaster and she unclawed herself a little too quickly. Like it didn't really like rip her claw all the way out, but it ripped it
Ouch.
all the way down, and it was bleeding because it was like it would be like taking your fingernail off to the quick.
Yeah.
It will grow back. It's just not a pleasant thing. And we all thought she'd broken her foot, and he rushed her off to the cat vet in the middle of the night. And the vet said, nah, she didn't really do any lasting damage. It cost us a pretty penny because that's the middle of the night and your cat's going, right? But you know what? She never bothered him as much again. And I think it wasn't just that she hurt her paw. It was also that like the selenite, like she knew she screwed with the wrong stone.
Right.
I don't know why. I can't really prove that, but I swear it was. I swear it. It was the selenite. And Max was able to go sit there without her bugging him after that. And he was behind the selenite. So it is something that does kind of keep negativity off of you. And that I would say she was just a tad bit negative at that time. So that is selenite, but it's good for entities, and you can keep a piece in your pocket. It's a good worry stone. It is porous, and you can drop it and break it. And if you're super negative, you won't keep it in your hands. So
Right. And then we also have sage that can be used. After
sage is another one.
you've gone through, a particular place that had a lot of negative energy, or had spirits. I mean, it's funny that there's one particular content creator that is Mexican, and his advice is always have that. If you guys know what it is, always have that fabuloso. Uh, that it's a big jug of like all-purpose cleaner. You got that. You got your chancla. You've got your flip flop. You've got a big Jesus candle, and you're gonna bring
Oh, it
two
works.
grandmas
It
in from.
works.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
you're gonna bring two grandmas from Tijuana. They're gonna have like their chants, and they're that's supposed to get rid of all of that.
You know,
I just kind of love
it's
that. I can love the process. How much of that is actually going to work? It's
you know,
questionable, but
I want to
it
say
is
a
what it is.
lot of it is about your belief system.
That's true. That's true.
If you and it sometimes it's about the belief system of what you're dealing with. If what you're dealing with needs to needs to be told by a by our Jesus to go, then that's the best method and that'll work. Great. There are other things that don't necessarily respond to that. So,
That's true.
based on like if you're dealing with an old Native American spirit, I would say try to get to hold of the tribe that does
Oh, yeah.
that speaks that language, because you're more likely to be successful. It doesn't mean you can't work with something else. It just
Yep.
means that's that. And then also with your intent. Like
Mhm.
if I know going in that someone's got a problem house, my intent is going to control it. Um,
Right.
one of our mutual friends always says, for the things that they need to, the may all the things, well, she's doing the sage, may anything that is here that doesn't belong, go to where it belongs, and anything that does belong
Mhm.
here, you can stay as long as you do no harm, that kind of thing.
Right.
So so the things that aren't supposed to be here go to where they should be, because once they're where they should be, they're not going to be here, right? So
Right.
I think that's a really good method. And if you are going to clear a house, you want to take that sage and you want to get it everywhere. But
Mhm.
there's also things you can do without lighting stuff up. If you need to, you can do rosemary dips like they do at the community things,
Mhm.
is where they can't light something up, they can use something that doesn't burn. You
Right.
can do blessed water. It's There's a lot of methods. Don't if you've got something really negative, come see somebody like me or Joe, or and I did have one story I want to put in here before we go. I had customers that came in probably about 10, 15, no, probably about 10 years ago when we were still located in the village. And they were frightened. They had like the poltergeisty thing with the toys, making noises and moving. And
Mhm.
they were in the process of remodeling a house that they had just bought. And so what they did is they they came to see me because they thought I was going to have to go out there. It was local. It was not like far away. And I was like, yeah, I'll come out. I thought it'd be interesting. I kind of wanted to document it, just
Mhm.
because I kind of wanted to document it.
Right.
And I didn't see them for a long time. And I wonder, like, what's up with those guys? And so what happened was they came back almost a full year later. And they're
Mhm.
like, do you remember us? I'm like, yeah, what happened? And oh, we disconnected. They were rerouting the power from the main over to the house,
Mhm.
and they disconnected it, and it was off for a week, and then they moved it to the other side, and they had no problem. That was it. Gone. So whatever it was maybe feeding off the power, or, but it was stuff that couldn't be moving just because it wasn't wired. It wasn't like it was catching electricity and hopping across the floor. It was, like
Right.
mundane things were moving. But whatever it was on that circuit, and that's what it was.
Gotcha.
So I actually have quite a lot of ghost stories, which I can pile on over time. But that I thought was the most interesting clearing method I had ever heard.
Yeah,
So,
that is. I've got some ideas about that. I think we'll save that for next time.
yep.
Um, Actually, I think we can maybe continue with this a little bit next week.
Yeah, we could use.
I'd like.
I mean,
I'd like. Yeah.
I'm open to continuing. I think we should also maybe talk about what it takes to clear a house,
Yes.
because
Yeah. That would be.
one of the things that we know happens is the veil gets thinner, right? At certain
Right.
times of year. It's just the way that energy works, and that's why Halloween, Samhain is supposed to be, like it's about a 3 or 4 day event where it gets thin and you can contact your ancestors, and
Right.
that's how that whole, holiday came to be, right? So you're more likely to maybe have experiences that time of year when it's kind of the energy's getting quiet as the
Sure.
energy's slowing down to the solstice and so on. So I think it'd be worthwhile talking about it, because I think a lot of people do have fear wrapped up around these topics,
Yeah.
and some things are kind of scary. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I was more amused by the ghost that I did see on Halloween,
Right.
literally Halloween, because that's what it was to me at the time. I was
Yeah.
very amused by it, but my cousin quite literally left like 2 days later, and he got in a short order to get out of town and go back to Wales, where there's just no ghosts.
Of course.
I don't think he'd ever seen one before, and there was one in my neighborhood. I mean, definitely. And as a older adult, I know that was the case.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys as always. Uh, we are open to any suggestions. If you guys got your own stories that you want to flesh out, or if you have any stories that you've heard that you want us to cover, um, please go ahead, drop those in the comments. Um,
especially a good
Give us a
ghost
like.
story, we're open to that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Give us a like and subscribe uh, on YouTube, on Facebook, and I know Gwen, you've got it going on the Avalon Vision's website as well.
Yeah,
So
we do.
yeah,
And I want to point out that we want to broadcast straight to the Witches Craft page on Facebook. And the numbers have come way up, but we have to have 100 followers before it will let us broadcast directly to that, and then the other
right,
pages will just follow. So that's the point. You gotta like us, and also too, definitely like us and follow us on YouTube, because that's going to be, it goes out to those pages also, but it should be live streaming right now. It's probably live streaming on the Avalon Vision page, which is the best we can do. Yee. But
absolutely.
we just need
All right,
11, few more.
yes.
So
All right. Thank you guys, and we will see you again next week.
thank you. Have a great day, evening, night. Mwahaha.